Please raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the mock trial competition?
I do.
You may be seated.
May I proceed?
You may.
Please state your name and spelling last for the court.
Gail Storm, S-T-O-R-M.
What is your involvement in today's case, Ms. Storm?
I was a meteorologist monitoring the conditions over Superior on the night of the accident, and I was also the one that issued a gale warning, which was received by the Fitzgerald.
What is your educational background?
I was educated at the U of M, and I hold advanced degrees in atmospheric and oceanic science.
What is your current occupation?
I'm currently a meteorologist working for the National Weather Service over Lake Superior.
How long have you worked there?
I have worked there in various capacities for the last 15 years.
And what does this job entail?
I collect and analyze weather patterns, I issue official forecasts and warnings to all ships, including the Fitzgerald, and I chart out weather systems.
Now, during these 15 years, did you spend any time on the lake?
Oh, I've had to spend lots of time on the lake. I especially spend a lot of times on ships, and I also actually own my own boat that I sail a lot on the lake.
Your Honor, I would like to enter Gail Storm as an expert in meteorology.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Gail Storm can testify as an expert in the field of meteorology.
Now, let's talk about November 9th. You mentioned you were monitoring the conditions over Superior. What did you pick up?
Well, I had started picking up some strong winds. These would have been over 35 knots, so I issued a gale warning.
What time did you issue this warning?
This would have been around 2:40 or so.
And what is a gale warning?
Well, this is just a warning of strong winds. When we pick these up, we issue this to mariners so that they just know that we're in that first step towards a really bad storm.
Can you tell us more about how storms work on Superior?
Well, storms start out as high-speed winds called gales, but sometimes these winds will shift, creating a low-pressure system.
And what do these low-pressure systems cause?
Well, this kind of a system over a huge body of water like the Superior can result in really bad storms with hurricane-like forces at times.
And how do these storms impact ships on Superior?
Many of the ships that are on the bottom of Superior are because of one of these
Objection,
storms.
Your Honor. Improper opinion.
Do you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. This witness is a meteorologist working on Superior, and she watches the ships as they during storms, so she would see how these storms impact the ships on Superior.
Do you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. This witness is an expert in meteorology, so she can testify about storms, how often they are formed, or warnings about these storms, but she can't testify as to how these storms affect ships. She's not a ship captain. The most experience she has with ships on Lake Superior is in a small sailboat. She does not have enough experience to testify about how weather could cause a ship to sink.
Do you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. Part of this witness's job is to chart the locations of the ships on Superior during storms, so she would see during this, for her job, how these storms would impact the ships as she's charting them.
Any additional response?
Yes, Your Honor. While this witness may be able to find out where a ship is at any certain time, she still does not have the expertise to testify about how ships sink.
I will allow the witness to answer this question and overrule the objection. However, if this veers into engineering or structure and outside the scope of this witness's expertise, you may remove your objection.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
How do storms impact ships on Superior?
Well, many of the ships that are on the bottom of Superior right now are because of one of these storms. They're especially pretty bad during November.
Now, in your experience as a meteorologist, what should a ship do when they receive a gale warning that you sent out?
Well, in my experience, ships should start taking any precautionary measures just to make sure everybody on board is safe, and to either go back to shore or at least find a place to wait out the storm.
Objection, Your Honor. Improper opinion.
Do you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. This witness would see how ships are impacted by the storms, and she would see, after she had sent out one of these warnings, she would see how the ship would be impacted by the storm that the warning warned of.
Do you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. While this witness may be able to see what ships do in response to these storms, she is still only an expert in meteorology. She can testify as to anything to do with meteorology, but she cannot testify as to what ships should do when warnings are issued. Again, she's not a ship captain or anything of that sort.
I believe that this is within the scope of the witness's expertise, so I will overrule the objection and allow the witness to answer.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
In your expertise as a meteorologist, what do you think ships should do when they receive a gale warning that you sent out?
Well, from what I have seen, ships will normally start taking some of these precautionary measures, such as just counting to see if everybody's on board. And there are many ports that these ships will definitely stop at while waiting out this storm.
Let's talk about the day that the Fitz sank. What was the weather like that morning?
It was 7 a.m. that next morning when this gale warning became a reality. The winds shifted from northwest to northeast.
What is the significance of this wind shift?
Well, if you can imagine a compass, right now the winds before the shift will be pointing somewhere between the north and west side, but then it's going to go all the way to the other side, making a 90-degree shift, which is going to be quite significant.
Now, what did this wind shift cause?
Well, right after this shift, a significant storm started moving over Superior, just like I predicted.
What happened next?
Well, I learned that the Fitzgerald had gone into an area known as 6 Fathom Shoals.
What is your experience with 6 Fathom Shoals?
Well, I've taken my sailboat out there a lot, and it's part of my job to know a lot of these areas.
Why were you worried when when you heard that the Fitzgerald had gone into 6 Fathom Shoals?
Well, I definitely started getting a little bit panicky. My son was on that ship that night 2 years ago.
Now, what did you do when you learned of this?
Well, I began charting the course of both the Fitzgerald and another ship that was out on the Superior that night too, the Anderson. I also turned on the amateur radios, we like to call it the ham radio, where Captain McKay was broadcasting to the Anderson.
Where were you at this time?
I was at the meteorology station. That's where we keep a lot of this navigational equipment.
And what did you hear on this radio?
Well, they started reporting some damages, but they said that their pumps were going and that they were holding their own, so I really thought that they were going to be okay.
What did you hear after that?
Nothing after that. The Anderson was desperately trying to get a hold of the Fitzgerald, but they just couldn't. There was just bursts of static, and that was all.
Did you ever see your son again?
Oh, no, I never saw him after that. That's the last I ever heard of him after that.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Miss Storm. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your profession. Now, you're not a ship captain, are you?
Oh, no.
And you've never commanded a cargo ship on Lake Superior, have you?
No, I haven't.
You do not hold a license to command such a ship?
No.
It's your profession to issue warnings, right?
Yeah, that was my true calling.
And those who captain freighter ships on Lake Superior are of a different profession than you, right?
Yes, but our paths tend to cross a lot since I deal directly with ships and I have to warn them.
Well, Miss Storm, you're a meteorologist, right?
Yes, it's part of my job to work with these ships.
Now, Miss Storm, these professional ship captains chose to disregard your opinion, right?
Yes, in this case, I don't know if they did anything about the gale warning.
Miss Storm, your opinion isn't a rule or a regulation, is it?
No, not officially.
The National Weather Service does not require ships to do what you think they should do, does it?
No, not that I know of.
And the U.S. Coast Guard does not require ships to do what you think they should do, does it?
No, unless it's accordance with the rules.
Now, Miss Storm, as a professional meteorologist, you know what a squall is, right?
Why, yes, a squall is a sudden and violent wind, often accompanied by rain, ice, or snow.
Now, on November 9th, you didn't issue a squall warning, did you?
Oh no, I issued a gale warning, a warning of strong winds. A squall basically is a strong wind.
Miss Storm, a squall is a strong wind accompanied by rain, snow, and ice, right?
Yes, but it is a strong wind.
Now, it would be pretty hard to predict a sudden weather event, wouldn't it?
Well, I predicted that there would be strong winds that night.
Miss Storm, you predicted a gale, right?
Yes, that's correct.
You did not predict a squall, did you?
No, just strong winds.
Now, Miss Storm, as a professional meteorologist, you would agree that weather obviously played a part in the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald, right?
Yes, I don't know why they would go out that night when the weather was so bad.
The storm's a given that weather played a part, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
In this storm, you would agree that but for the weather, the Fitzgerald would have made it to port, correct?
Yes, but I also believe that there was another reason. The decision to actually go out in this weather definitely played a big part.
Ms. Storm, that's a yes to my question that but for the weather, the Fitzgerald would have made it to port, correct?
Yes, if they hadn't gone out in the weather.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Any redirect?
None, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Witness may step down.